Welcome to a short video on the HDMI Survey Data Viewer. This video aims to provide an introduction to the Data Viewer, which is the tool available to view and interrogate the data collected from the HDMI surveys. The aim of the Data Viewer is to bring all of the survey data together into one view, which can then be used to allow subsequent engineering decisions to be made based on the data. The Data Viewer is focused around viewing the survey data for complete routes that have been surveyed. In the top left there is a route selection box which shows all of the routes available to view in the tool. It should be pointed out that whilst this list shows all HDMI routes, there are still some routes that require supporting survey data to be loaded. The top of the screen shows characteristics of the route being viewed: direction, length, width, and survey date, for example. It also provides an overview of the surface type of the route, asphaltic concrete in this case, and the overall condition of the route, fair in this case. To the right of that are links to supporting information for the route, and I'll come back to those later on. Underneath this route information is a schematic representation of the visual condition of the route. This allows you to see both carriageways along a dual carriageway route together. In this example, the route is 132 kilometres, but if the route is longer than 200 kilometres or 400 kilometres, then the visual condition data spans onto these additional tabs. No route surveyed was longer than 600 kilometres. The visual condition data is shown for both the outbound extent along the bottom and the return extent along the top. The arrows for outbound and return also show the direction of travel along each carriageway. The 5 kilometre blocks shown are opposite each other on the carriageway in real life, just as they are shown on the schematic diagram. Below this visual condition chart, the rest of the screen shows information on the points of interest collected along the route. These could have been individual defects, specific notes on repairs needed, or key landmarks such as existing bridges or junctions, for example. You can see tags for both the outbound and the return extent of the survey, with the active set, with the active side being those shown in green. On the outbound carriageway for this route, there are 120 tags recorded along the 132 kilometres of the route, and we can move through them by selecting these arrows. The text boxes below, numbered 1 to 6, highlight any particular concerns or issues the surveyors recorded at each tag. As well as moving through all the tags records, there are different ways in which all of this data can be interrogated. Looking back at the condition chart, if the condition letter on the condition chart is underlined, it means there are some related points of interest or tags recorded within that particular block. For example, the fair condition in the first 5 kilometres is underlined. I can double click on that cell and it loads up all the additional information within that 5 kilometre block for the tags recorded. So here we can see examples: defects recorded by the surveyors, potholes and shoulder failure, as well as some key landmarks for the route, the start of the route, an old toll gate. If the kilometre number is underlined, it means there is one or more images located within that particular 5 kilometre block. So if we click on the underlined block within that kilometre cell, you can see the associated photos. In this case, there are 13 photos within this first 5 kilometre block, and we can move through them using these arrows. Examples of landmarks, defects, and any picture that the surveyors took that was related for their survey. Tags can also be assigned groupings. So if we go back to the main tag control, and I click this filter box down below, it shows me all of the categories or groupings of tags along the route. So for example, if we wanted to see just the tags related to bridges, we will click the filter button next to bridges, and it then shows us just these 10 specific tags. We can now see this says 1 to 10. It shows the 10 specific tags related to bridges, which we can then move through. And you will see as we move through this, the images on the right correlate with images of bridges and the related information the surveyors recorded. You can also see now that some of the kilometre distances along the route are highlighted in red. This is showing us where on the route the 10 bridge tags are located. When we're moving through the tags, you can also see down here there's something called the block kilometre. So this shows you for each tag you're looking at in the picture which kilometre that was specifically in. So here we're currently looking at block 120 kilometres. If we move forwards, we're now looking at block 115 kilometres, and so on. If we change the filter to a defect such as potholes, the red kilometre blocks will show where the potholes are along the route, and in this case they are certainly more prevalent towards the end of the outbound route. The supporting documents I mentioned at the beginning can be clicked on to open maps of the routes. The KML file opens up a Google Earth image of all the tag locations recorded along the route. When this loads up, it will also enable any user to zoom in, to pan around, and to look at where these tags specifically were along the route. The zooming in functionality and the panning around is just standard Google Earth functionality, and you can use that to look at the images and zoom right down to individual tag locations. The map image shows a representation of the 5 kilometre data on a route map, with each of the points of interest or tags shown by a blue star along the route. The measurements file brings up an Excel file of supporting measurement information from the survey. This provides additional detail for the amount of maintenance or defects that the surveyors noted along the route when they were doing their survey. Overall, therefore, the data viewer gives a way of viewing all of this survey data together in one place and interrogating it for future uses.